Yeah, hey Coach. I was wondering, you guys were in the bubble for 54 days, and now you've been in Milwaukee for 3 or 4 days. I was wondering if you've learned anything about the logistics, about how this is going to work, life on the road. You're sort of traveling bubble, so to speak, whether it's pre-game routine or meals or what have you.
I mean, things are different. I looked at the schedule again. In the first half, I think we only have one of these where I think we go to Utah and play twice in 3 days. The rest of it, it's interspersed. But there will undoubtedly be more in the second half of the season. The adjustments are the morning testing. It influences practice times a little bit. It's certainly going to be hard to practice in the morning. It's going to affect, shoot-arounds in many situations. And a lot of teams are opting out of doing shoot-arounds anyway with the way the schedule's been sort of remade the last 3 years. So, all in all, this has been a good road trip, a good experience. We actually had the entire hotel to ourselves. There will be situations like that this year, and so I think that's about it. It's not that different because we're getting used to all these protocols that have been in for quite a while.
All right, Mark Followell, go ahead.
There we go. Hey Rick, thanks for doing this as always. Is there something specifically, I know you talked a lot about getting better on defense. Is there something specifically, a particular area where you want to see that manifest itself more than any other area in terms of what you want to get accomplished on that end of the floor?
Well, it starts with transition. Transition defense is probably the thing that defines a team's tenacity and their intensity and their commitment. That's where it all starts. And then it's three things. It's getting back. It's taking away the early rim attacks, and then you got to somehow contain and keep 3-point shooters from getting comfortable. Very difficult, especially with the way the great shooters in this league are now extending their range. The wider people are out on the arc, the wider the gaps are, and it's just murder trying to keep some of these guys in front of you. That's why your team defense has got to be really good. And then the other things that go along with this, hand in hand, rebounding is going to be a big thing. We've been a good defensive rebounding team. That needs to continue. But whatever we ended up last year, I guess it was 17th or 18th in defense. We've got to make some strides upward from there.
Okay, we have Jim from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel.
Hey Rick, good to see you. I had a individual question, I guess, regarding Torrey Craig, a new addition to Milwaukee. You've obviously seen him, scouted him, played him. What kind of an individual defender is he? What can he bring to a team like Milwaukee, which has had good team defense? And I know he's guarded, Dame Lillard and Donovan Mitchell. He can kind of go smaller too. What kind of asset can he be for Bud?
Yeah, he's a guy that we talked about too. I mean, I think he's a guy that was a very desirable piece for a lot of teams. I'm not sure. He was a free agent, right?
Let me find him.
Yeah, I think he was a free agent. So, look, it's a great signing for them. In the East, and really in the entire NBA now, the wing defenders with length and strength, that can guard guys both big and small are really, really valuable. Because out west you got everybody from Lillard to Kawhi Leonard to Paul George to LeBron James. You got Doncic. You got to try to deal with. You got James Harden. And there's just there's a lot going on with it. Now in the East, you got Russell Westbrook, who's been an MVP, and Boston's got a lot of high level wing players, with Tatum and Brown, and so I think he's going to really help. They'll do a great job, continuing to work with him on his skill development, his shooting, and all that kind of stuff. But I think a really great signing for them.
Okay, Eric, asking you to unmute.
Hey, Rick. The other night you had mentioned something about this Bucks defense and just, how hard they make it on you, especially at the rim. Since they put such a heavy focus on the rim, and obviously pretty much every offense is based on driving kick, get to the rim first, and then kind of work out from there, just what does that do to you as an offense, since they do such a good job? They've been historically good at the rim now for the last few years.
Yeah, it's challenging. I mean, look, you gotta try to get stops and get the ball up quick before they can get set. You got to be willing to step into good threes early in the clock. And it's not that I think there's a perception that they give threes. They don't give threes. They're vigilantly committed to taking away the rim, and they have the athletic ability to do both that and fly out against on 3-point shooters and make guys shoot and make plays under duress. So they obviously have a very sound philosophy, and they're building their roster and their personnel to fit what their philosophy is. So it's tough scoring on them.
And last question from Kane Pittman. Go ahead, Kane.
Hey, Rick. Probably going to really shock you with this line of questioning, but I wanted to ask about Josh Green and just in general, rookies this season, because I know he got his first minutes the other night, but typically you might have a summer league and get a chance to get your feet wet a little bit. How has the experience been with him coming to your group? I know it's only been a few weeks, but what have you seen from him, whether it's character-wise, skill-wise?
Yeah, he don't say nothing, man. He just plays hard, and he's got a great background of fundamentals. He's had terrific coaching. He understands, the reads of the game from a spacing standpoint, when to space, when to spot, when to cut, when to drive, when to catch and drive, when to fake and drive. So he's really, beyond his years in terms of his grasp of today's NBA game, and real smart. I mean, he gets things the first time. So I just look. We don't know what it's going to look like for the next couple of years as these guys get drafted. I mean, the season's going to get over in late July in 2021. At least that's what it says on the schedule. When's that draft going to be, and will there be a summer league? I mean, those things are up in the air. So this sort of meteoric transition from the draft to right to veteran training camp could be something that we continue to see for a while. But he's been terrific. Right now he's not going to put up gaudy stats, but he's going to do the basics extremely well, and he's going to be a guy that fights people defensively.
Thank you very much, Coach. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
And we weren't playing the kind of defense we needed to play. Second half was terrific. Concentration was great. The spirit was there. Moved the ball. I think we took 2 or 3 charges. Bench was into it. So second half is what we want to do and how we want to play. And we got to learn from the first half.
All right, Brad Townsend, go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of focus has been on Richardson's defense, and certainly brings that element to you guys. I wanted to ask you about his offensive versatility that he showed tonight.
Yeah, look, Richardson played terrific both of these games. Love the way he's shooting the ball. Love the way he's picking up the reads out of our system, which is quite different than what they did in Philadelphia last year. And more importantly, he and Luka really have a nice feel for one another and really play well off of each other. So, just a lot of very positive things out of both of these games. And, Josh is a terrific defender. Probably his reputation is more as a defensive player. But offensively, he's spending a lot of time on his spacing and 3-point shooting game with further range, because we space the floor a little differently than what Philly did. And, he's stepping into shots and really stroking it.
Kevin Gray asking you to unmute. Go ahead.
Hey, good evening, Coach. Josh Green tonight, 19 minutes, went 4 of 7. Kind of talk about his aggressiveness and his progression and what you saw from him tonight in his game.
Yeah, you said it. He's progressing and he's aggressive, but his aggression is done in a way that he keeps a lot of risk out of the game. He understands where the space is on the floor. He's one of our best cutters. Cutting is not a thing you hear talked about a whole lot in the media. It's not a very glorified aspect of the NBA game. But with the way the game is spaced now and the way the defenses slough off on the weak side, you've got to have guys that are very good at it. Green's great at it. Richardson's terrific at it. Finney-Smith's really good. And we have others, that are getting better. So, but look, it was good to see Green step into a couple of shot and knock in a couple of 3-point shots. He had a couple of good looks last game, but this is, we don't have a lot of games here. We have one more exhibition game, and this is great experience for him, and it's a great chance for other guys to play with one another.
Mark Followill, go ahead.
Rick, to follow up on your earlier comments about how well you played in the second half, obviously it was different tonight in that you played the starters in the third quarter, whereas you did not on Saturday night. So to follow up on your comments earlier, specifically, how did you think that group looked, and in terms of not only tonight, but in terms of the big picture of getting ready for the season? What kind of sign was that in terms of, their legs individually and how that group played collectively?
Yeah, well, part of this is conditioning. Part of it is getting to know one another, as you mentioned. Look, the group has played together, virtually every day of training camp. We haven't mixed up the teams a whole lot because we have some new guys. I mean, Powell's not new, but it's been a while since he's played with other guys. Richardson is new. And so, that's why that group's been together. And then the second unit team has been together virtually every day as well. Now, we get into the games, it's not going to be, hockey line changes in terms of substituting, and everybody's going to have to be ready. But, first group, again, the first half was inconsistent by everybody. Second half, the focus was much greater, and the spirit and intensity was much greater too. So, the second half was great. We're going to have to put two halves together to win a lot of games this year.
Final question from Eddie Sefko. Go ahead, Eddie.
Rick, obviously kind of a dress rehearsal tonight. How encouraging was it for you to see not only the second unit close out the game, but the first unit take charge in the third quarter? I mean, obviously you guys had a few issues in both of those areas last year. Maybe set a tone now early and carry it on.
Well, the second unit played really great the entire game during the first game. Tonight they had a real struggle in the first half. And so, as a group, they just stuck together. They kept encouraging each other. It was a long wait to get back in because I decided to play the starters basically the entire third quarter, both to see them close out a quarter and to get some conditioning. And then, second unit came out beginning of the fourth and did a really nice job. I mean, they were solid both ends. The ball moved. We made shots, made plays, took a couple charges. So, you know, a lot of positives, and, you know, we're going to need everybody with the way this year is shaping up, and, you know, all the things we're going to have to navigate. You know, it's really important. And then, you know, last 5 minutes, you know, Terry did a good job. You know, Baig got in there, did a nice job, and you know, we need to know that those guys can come in and fill in, you know, in short minutes if needed, or longer minutes if needed as well. So again, second half, you know, was a real was the way we want to play. The first half, not so much, but you know, we'll have a day off tomorrow, come back and practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, last exhibition game Thursday, and then it's on.
All right. Thank you very much, Coach. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.